just realised we've gone straight into the Real match without talking about the lineups. Talk to me about how Real Madrid lined up. We've already said that we were basically one change different, which you've already covered. Talk to us about how Real Madrid have been approaching this season under Xabi Alonso.
So they started this match on a very good run. I think they'd only lost one match all season. But yeah, I'll run through their team. Courtois at the back. That guy who I don't think will ever get over anyone that was in Paris or
Nope.
Or even the 5-2 defeat as well, where he made a number of good saves. Anyway. So from right to left, Valverde at right back. So it's Trent since moving there, played at the very start of the season, got injured. Good. Carvajal injured, so he's locked down the right back slot. Obviously, slightly different profile to Trent. Well, very different profile to Trent. A really strong runner. Similar in that he passes a lot as well, but able to drive as well. In centre back, Militao and Howson from Bournemouth, who signed this summer, had a bit of interest from us, but chose to go to Madrid. Quite comfortable, quite quick, good pairing. And then Carreras, the former Manchester United fullback at left back. He is actually quite good, but watching this match, you would have thought that he's all right. It's just that he got completely done by Salah. Not the only good play that's been done to, but yeah, he's quite young. I think he's quite good. In midfield they had Tchouaméni and Camavinga. Camavinga was sort of drifting out wide a bit, and then they had Arda Güler, the young Turkish international. Jude back in midfield, back from his injury a few weeks ago, and he's scored a few goals recently as a 10, and then Vinicius on the left. Jude and Mbappe, so Mbappe was up front, obviously, was sort of pressing as a 2. The press quite high, given all the talk about how Vinicius doesn't defend and Mbappe doesn't press. Alonso's set to work on getting them to press as a team, and I think generally when I've watched them this season they've been quite good, but I haven't watched them a lot. But yeah, that's how they set up. They're looking to sort of dominate possession, use the left side in particular as their outlet through Vinicius, using his dribbling, his one-on-one skills to then break forward into the box. They also like to play early passes into Vinicius and Mbappe, and then use Jude's sort of box-crashing qualities as well. Liverpool tried to prevent this, and I think Slot explained this both in his post-match press interview and in the post-match press conference. He said what I wanted us to do was to press high and avoid the mid-block where possible, and just go to a low block if they progress past the high press. The idea being that if you're in the mid-block, that invites deep runs from Mbappe, who's like the best in the world at it, him and Haaland, I guess, and then Vinicius and Bellingham as well. So those three guys are really good at making those deep runs from midfield, breaking the final lines. If you play with a mid-block and you're leaving space in behind, you have to be really good with the offside line. And if you don't get that right, they're probably going to score because it's Mbappe, right? And then went to high press, and we largely missed out the mid-block. There are a few occasions where, let's say, we moved out of we counter-attacked forwards, Ekitike went, then we settled, and we moved into a rough mid-block for a bit. But generally, we weren't looking to do that too much. So that was the setup from Madrid and how we sort of looked to counteract it.
Yeah, so a really unusual pass map for Real Madrid. Bart's we've seen occasionally teams be really biased towards one flank or the other, but obviously with Vinicius and Carreras and Mbappe pulling left, it was just something else, wasn't it? The Madrid one. Yeah. This was more important. No, go on.
They targeted Connor, didn't they? Basically, they were trying to target Connor and isolate him 1v1, and that's you probably playing into Connor's hands. I think he can be a very good 1v1 defender. So yeah, I think, but that is a definite. I mean, there's 4 hard lines to Vinicius Junior, and there's 1 soft line from the left centre half. So that's 5 people making massive connections to the left wing with their first pass. Is certainly something to behold. I think they did bring on second half. They brought was it half an hour to go? They brought on Rodrigo on the left hand, on the right hand side. There might be 2 wingers trying to really get back in the game. which was interesting. I think also they miss. I think Valverde is one of their best players, so him not playing in midfield was actually a loss.
Yeah, it's massive.
Massive loss. I think he's been huge in the game to get to us before. So playing him back, he meant he could influence the game, and us pressing high him, and he was staying back. So I thought it was an opportunity moment to play in Madrid, maybe.
Yes, I think so. I think it was a good matchup for us, especially once Connor actually turned in his best performance of the season. I think what's more important for us, though, Dr. Bart, is that we have seen a lot of Liverpool pass maps down the years, not least from your network. But we saw something in our pass maps for this game that we've never seen. This is new. I don't think we've ever seen this with a Liverpool pass network.
No, it's the key thing. The key thing that people take away from that is there's not more than 5 passes between Konate and Van Dijk. Right? That does not mean they didn't pass to each other. It's just it wasn't 5+. But that's typically when we're resting, just recycling, trying to kill the game. They pass between each other. So for us not to do that is quite something. And the thing we were talking about pre-pod is the almost diamond shape that's formed between the centre half, the fullback, and the 8 playing. It's just an interesting symmetry going on, and then you've got built into that. You've got your 2. Because Verts at this time is coming into make a box, so he's level with the other 2 10s.
Yeah.
He's a really strong controlling area in the middle of the park. And we're also keeping away from potentially a central press point, because I think just literally aren't risking it. They're just passing it.
Yeah. So I think there's a clear 1-2 shape in midfield as well. Whereas last season it was much more typically a 2-1 shape in midfield.
Yeah.
Last season, no matter who we played at 9, we tend, whether it was Jota, Nunes, or Diaz, we struggled to get any connections with them. We often did. This game there was connections. There's 2 connections with Ekitike, and the left winger Godi has always been, as we already said, he tends not to be that involved other than putting the ball in the net. When he put Verts in that position, he's got connections with 4 players around him.
It's very, very, very pleasing. I was just trying to get the actual connections up. So Verts has got 4 players connecting to him. Dolman's got 3. Ekitike, I can't find one here now, but it'll be on it somewhere. But so there's players with a lot of connections around. Hugo is receiving 5++ from Connor and Bert. So, and that's what you want. If you've got you've got your creative hub fulcrum beating your 9, that is what you want to do. And that just wasn't happening with Connor. Not with Connor, sorry, with Cody. So, the other key thing to look at is Robbo, where Robertson's a Mac. So, one of the criticisms of Kirkes was his distribution in and around all players not linking with him. So, straight away, Robbo here is 5+ with his left 8. So, very simple, into his left 8, which then, as we see in the past network, and there was just to build effectively, because Robert's got some strong lines in here. He's got less into Verts, but that's fine. He's still passing into him. So, I thought it's a very different shape of doing it. I think it shows the dominance in the middle of the pitch. Again, I think we looked a lot more controlled against Madrid, which is something we haven't done. And as you said, the link with the 9 is something we haven't done. We're still on link with Mo for 5+, but there was passes to Mo, just not in the volume we've done. But he was getting, he got the touches required. Just trying to find Mo on here. No, he's not on here or not. But he got 5+ from Connor and Dom. So from that side, he was getting connections. Just not as much to show in that particular time period.
Hamza, you talked, I think, on the pre-season pod about parallelograms, and we weren't just doing GCSE geometry. Do you want to remind us what you were talking about?
So we're all familiar with the box midfield. 2 at the base, 2 double 10s, so pretty standard, double 6, double 10, or double 8, double 10s, whatever you want to think about it. That's a standard box, right? And the traditional advantage of a box is that if you're playing with 4 guys in midfield and the opposition are playing with 3, you've got +1, so you can play around them. Lots of teams use the box midfield in the past few seasons. We've seen principally with like the 3-box-3 formation.
Yeah.
So your box midfield, but slightly different. It would be a parallelogram. And a parallelogram is a literal box that's just tilted with parallel sides. The advantage of that is that you've still got the 4 in midfield, but you've got angles. And as people are familiar with the football writer Jamie Hamilton, like diagonal passes, and well, the Spielberg guys, and I mean, loads of coaches are just will say diagonals are really useful because it gives you an angle to play with. It gives you verticality. It's often pushing against the direction of play. So yeah, when you've got that slight angle, you've got a little bit of an advantage because instead of just having, and well, in practice, the box is never a pure box, right? It's not 90-degree angles everywhere. That would be bad because if you're just playing perfectly horizontal and vertical line passes, that would be rubbish because it's hard to work with a perfectly vertical pass and you're not adding anything with a perfectly horizontal pass. So in practice, you don't actually get that. But it's really nice to see in practice the angles that are actually being like affected in play. So yeah, we're seeing this with Liverpool with Gravenberch, McAllister, Wirtz, and Szoboszlai, and this graphic shows it really well. So you've got Gravenberch, who's the deepest, as the right-sided 10. So yeah, you've got that sort of tilt to the team, and then you've got a good volume of passes, as indicated by the thickness of the passes, and then threat as well by the colour of the passes of the lines. Between them. And yeah, that's a really stable base for you to build from. And I think there's a few good examples in this match. I think if you remember the McAllister chance, there's a few different elements that come together here. So first of all, we've got this shape, right? So you've got the 2 guys that are deep. Liverpool move the ball out wide to the right. And at this point, Gravenberch goes over to support Salah. Now, when the 6 goes, you're thinking, okay, who's still covering that space? And this season, we've had a bit of an issue in that Liverpool haven't quite got that balance right. Sometimes the 6 has gone too high or too early and left the rest of the midfield open. In this case, McAllister has synchronized his movement with him. So he's realized that Gravenberch is going, okay, I'm going to move across and cover the centre of midfield. Szoboszlai realizes that there's a press on as well. So he's now closing the ball over to the right side. Salah gets the ball. He tries to dribble past Carreras. Carreras wins the initial duel, and then Salah tries to counter-press. Salah goes in. Szoboszlai to the left as the ball gets to Howson. He dispossesses Howson, so now all the guys are involved. He runs across and squares it, and who's there to run onto the shot? It's McAllister. So you actually see a number of different principles at play here. You have the initial box, the rotation from a double pivot into a single pivot as one of the attacking players tries to support an attack, then them sustaining that position as they're trying to regain the ball with a counter press, following Carreras winning the ball, the actual regaining of possession with Wirtz coming across to win it as Liverpool force him into a corner, into a really sort of difficult position, and they've got numbers there, numerical superiority, win the ball back, and then that other midfielder joining the attack for the shot. I think that example, I think it's the 9th or 10th minute of the match, where McAllister gets his shot off and he shoots over the bar, is a really good example of how the midfield's working together as a unit, and you're seeing that synchronized movement that you hope to see, which comes with repetition and familiarity. So yeah, a few different things that come from that parallelogram right there, and I think that was nice. But again, right, and the key context for this whole game and the Villa matches, Liverpool game was say early on and then took the lead, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. The one player we talked about, returning McAllister, one player who's definitely had a resurgence the last 2 games, Hamza, is Mo Salah as well. There was I looked at this after the Villa game, and he had more success. He beat more men through dribbles in the Villa match, 5, than in the rest of the 2025-26 season combined in all competitions. It's just staggering. So he'd only had 4 completed dribbles in the first 15 matches of the season, 5 against Villa, and another 5 against Real. So that was 10. He beat 10 men in the last 2 games, which matches his total from the previous 20 Liverpool appearances. That's pretty remarkable, isn't it? But what did you see in terms of the way that we use Salah and the way that the Salah was in the system to get this kind of cutting edge back out of him?
Again, I think it starts with the game context. So having a more settled game where an opposition, again, isn't playing direct and it's super transitional, and we're not supporting him in the right way. And when I say we're not supporting him in the right way, I mean, like that chance I just mentioned, right? There are the players he can dribble one-on-one against an opponent. If, for example, let's take the Brentford match. Well, actually, let's not take the Brentford match, but take the Palace match. You're losing and you're up against a back five. It's very difficult for you to dribble, to get the ball in an area where you want to dribble, and then have a successful dribble when you're running into a back five that's supported by a defensive midfield 3. 8 guys in the box, goalkeeper, 9 guys in the box. Very difficult. This against Villa, so there's a team that's giving you the opportunity to press, and then when you win the ball, you can then dribble straight away. Likewise against Real Madrid, there's space to attack. These are very different matches. These are ones where Salah's always traditionally shone as well. Big matches. If you just look at his goals in big matches, right, against teams that want to play, it speaks for itself. These are the games that he shines in. So I think that context is key. I think the support that he's had with early passes has been a bit better. Again, that does flow from game state. That does flow from having a more settled sort of shape and structure and not needing to rush things. It comes from having the centre forward in more familiar positions as well. That was a really nice pass that he did with the outside of his foot for Gakpo, I think, in the second half as well.
Yeah.
I think Bradley, he had the passing combination, Szoboszlai as well. So Szoboszlai's always had a good relationship with him, either at right back or in midfield, but just having him a bit further forward means that you get that early pass a bit better. There are a few occasions where Liverpool didn't get it quite right. I mean, there was a chance which Ekitike took a shot on, and I think it was blocked, and that led to a counter-attack. So there are still some times where the team aren't quite making the right decision, and I think that was an early frustration on in the season, earlier on in the season, where Salah would be open free on the right and someone on the left would just shoot, and you're thinking, what are you doing there? That doesn't make sense. Again, part of that's informed by chasing the game and sort of being a bit scrambled and realising that you've got 2 other attacking guys on with you and you've got to score. So yeah, I think there's a few things going on, but I don't also want to overcomplicate things, because sometimes I don't think it is too complicated. I guess it's probably worth mentioning as well. We did say before that playing without Trent is going to be difficult because you're not getting that same quality of supply. So that requires some adjustment too. So I think part of that adjustment period is over. Active threat every match. I think those days are sort of over. But I think building those relationships a bit better now should help, and we'll see a bit more of it. And like you said, those numbers were weirdly low for Salah. We're always going to see some sort of adjustment, even if he does decreases over volume as he has over his career, right? When he was like 23, dribble a lot more than he does now. That's totally normal for a winger, for that volume to decrease and for you to specialise in other ways. This happens with almost all top wingers, right? They start off as dribblers, then they become smarter and they realise how they can pass better and how they can shoot better and find and link up play. That dribble number is never going to be super high again in terms of like when he was a young player. It's probably going to be higher than it was earlier this season, but don't expect it to be as high as it was in this match, because I think this was a really good performance and the conditions suited him well.